Hello, I'm Roy Richardson, and this is the Dynamic Business Leaders Podcast. Welcome back to the Dynamic Business Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Roy Richardson, with my insightful co-host and wingman, Sean Murphy. Sean, another week, another episode. Great to have you here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know I say this almost every week, but I am ecstatic at our guest, and I'm looking forward to this time today.
Awesome. Well, Sean, today's conversation is going to resonate with anyone who believes that great businesses aren't built overnight. They're built over time through consistency, discipline, and real commitment to the people they serve. Our guest today is Mike Murphy, president of Murphy Auto Group, a family-owned dealership that's grown into one of the most recognized names in Northwest Georgia and Central Florida markets. Mike has spent the majority of his career in automotive retail leadership, building not just a business, but a reputation centered around customer experience, operational excellence, and deep community involvement. What stands out about Mike's story, as we will all hear, is how much of that growth has been anchored in relationships, not just with customers, but within the communities his organization serves through local philanthropy, youth programs, and economic development efforts. Before we dive in further, today's episode is brought to you by Aurora Infotech, helping organizations grow with confidence by protecting the systems and data they depend on, so innovation never comes at the cost of trust. Mike, we're glad to have you here with us.
I'm really excited to be here too. Thanks for this opportunity.
Well, Mike, again, welcome to our podcast. We're really looking forward to the time. Leaders who are building something that truly lasts are going to feel this one, and I'm excited about it. I remember, like I was saying, I remember the day I met you over in St. Pete, and back then I was with the Leadership Institute, and you were a client of ours, and you were like, Sean, I really believe in, developing people. And I've watched you that was about 7 years ago that I met you, and I've watched you through social media and how you treat your team when you're posting stuff on social media about what you're doing for your team and things like that. The philanthropy part, I'll say this to the audience before we get into it. I'm stealing a little bit of your thunder, but I can recall the summers that you were doing the historical Black colleges, the small historical Black colleges, the baseball tournaments that you were doing. And, these are colleges that if I wasn't Black, I probably wouldn't even know the schools existed. Shaw University, right? And so, and let me rephrase that. Black and from the South, right? I've lived in New Orleans and Florida all of my life. And so the schools that you were sponsoring, these are schools that nobody would hear of. They probably have the budget of Jones High School, which is one of the dominant high schools in Orlando, which is a small budget for a college, right? And so anyway, man, thank you for that. And I'm really looking forward to the time, and let's get into it.
Absolutely. If I may, the HBCU Classics are still going on, and we're always looking for more sponsors and growing the game. If it wasn't for baseball, I wouldn't be on your podcast. I'm not sure I'd be alive. So it's been a humble opportunity to grow the game. And more now than ever, we need a game like baseball to remind us that life is hard.
Yeah, yes,
True.
totally.
That's true. Yep.
I was a buddy of mine's son plays for FAMU, and they're at the SWAC Classic this week, or the championship. And so posting that stuff on social media. But let's start here with something fun. You were a 14-time Pro-Am golf tournament and minority owner of the Tampa Bay Rays, which is really cool. I remember back in the day, I was on the Florida Sports Foundation board probably 10 years ago when Jeb was the governor, and I knew some of the guys that were in leadership at the Rays. And so great organization. Which one comes up more at dinner at home at night?
Oh, it's not even close. We're insane Rays fans. Always have been. I read a book when I was 18 years old called The Radical Leap by Steve Farber, and it told you to pick an audacious goal, a big goal that would inspire you to work harder than others think is rational and care more than other people think you should. And at 18, I told my dad I'd love to own part of the Rays someday.
Oh, very cool.
Blessing. We watch a lot of games. It's 48 games into the season, And my kids and I have been to 13, and I've taken my wife to a couple extra. So it's a way of life.
Excellent, excellent. You married a wonderful Colombian, two little girls at home. What does Mike look like on Saturday mornings when there's no meeting scheduled?
Uh, First off, I don't try to schedule meetings on Saturdays, although it happens usually in the afternoon. So if it's the two lives of Mike Murphy, it's football season. We're probably on our way to Miami or to my office to watch the U. When it's not football season, I start my Saturdays off in the dojo. I try to get an hour and a half in with Master Charlie, do some weapon training, do some sansao, some more fun stuff. Then I get home in time for the kids to be getting out of the shower. And for a 6-year-old, my daughter makes amazing pancakes, so we cook a lot Saturday mornings together.
Nice.
I personally love how you connect business and family in your social media page. Like I said, you talk a ton about developing your people. You talk about them on social media, but there's not there's a connectivity between the stuff that you're doing with your family and stuff like that. And it just makes, again, when I saw you as a sponsor of the football team, I was like, absolutely. I thought of you for 28 when we start to take our podcast statewide. But I was like, no, we got to get him on now versus waiting until 28, because he's making an impact here in Central Florida. So anyway.
Well, if I may, real quick, just on that topic, I'm sorry to cut you off, Roy. But getting involved in the Orlando Storm is a very selfish act for Murphy Auto Group. The NFL makes it cost prohibitive to really get and sponsor for a small auto group, for a mom and pop type dealership. Spring football, the value's there, and anybody that's looking to reach that demographic, it is a great opportunity. And we got a game coming up here against DC Defenders, and Anthony Beck is our head coach, is leading us to the postseason, and we're really blessed to have him.
Going back to what you talked about, and Sean, picking up on what you talked about, family, etc., provided a perfect segue here. Because before we get into the business story, tell us, if you had to describe your dad, Dennis, in 3 words, what would they be?
Counting on my fingers, making sure. American dream realized. Grandpa couldn't read or write. Life's supposed to be hard. He got drafted by the Dodgers at 18 years old. Played professional baseball. And that gave him the confidence to fail forward, the confidence to stick your neck out. And it also kept him out of Vietnam. So that's why I say without baseball, I'm not sure I would be alive.
I love your grandfather didn't speak English and your dad failed forward. And that's what I love about our country, man.
Yeah.
There's so many stories of that. I just remember at the University of Miami reading, Michael Milken's story and stuff like that. And all of these guys that just took chances, right? And you said, you know what? I'm a believe in my purpose and I'm gonna go for it. And here you are. I think you have a dealership in Brunswick.
That's a different Mike Murphy. Shockingly, there's 2 Mike Murphy auto groups.
Really?
He's old. I am not. Yeah, he got out of the business a couple years ago. So we're in Augusta, North Augusta, Aiken, Central Florida, and Tampa.
Okay, got it. I just thought maybe you were mainly in North Georgia, but had like one location. Okay, got it. So a different Mike Murphy. Did not know that.
And you would have thought when he went to sell, he would at least call me. We didn't even have to change the name.
The name, right?
Right.
But yeah, he was a Kia dealer, Ford dealer, I believe. Did a good job.
So, Mike, you were 14 years old working in your dad's dealership. Most kids that age are just trying to get through school. What was that like for you, and what did you actually learn from being that close to the business that early?
Boy. So first off, I started so early because I just had an entrepreneurial spirit, and my best friend, who's passed away, unfortunately, he and I worked on a fish boat, shoveling ice, actually the fish plant, shoveling ice into the boats. And I came home smelling like fish one day, and my dad goes, "What? Go take a shower." Like, I took 2. He goes, "If you really want to work that bad, you start Saturday." And I washed cars until I was 16. And what was interesting is starting really at the bottom, the least desirable job in all of the dealership. It showed me the purpose everybody had. Now, being a baseball player, it was pretty obvious that different skills go with different positions. You don't see many lefty catchers, as an example. So it helped me at a young age not only understand why every role is amazingly important, but also be good enough at it to train my replacement. So the biggest thing I had to overcome was the PhD, and that's not my doctorate. It's Papa has a dealership. Everybody just assumes you're incompetent, and I made it my life's mission to outwork my coworkers, so that when it came time to follow me, and it happened fairly early, that they know that you got a car dog here. Like, this isn't theoretical; this is applied experience, and we're gonna take the mountain.
Nice. And your dad spent 43 years in the car business. I mean, that's amazing there in of itself. And when you were young, did you always know you were going to follow in his footsteps, or did it take time to see that?
I'll answer that two ways. Number one is I was in and out of Hollywood by the time I was 12. So I had a pretty big career as a child actor and moved to LA for a while. So my first passion was probably entertainment and being in front of the camera. When that failed, I remember being in second grade and writing that letter to ourselves that we all do, and then our teacher mails it to us. And man, I hit it nail like spot on. It says, you're either going to be playing professional baseball, or you probably got hurt and you're working with your dad in the car business and trying to be younger, better, and faster than him. So that was the goal. 1 year younger, 1 year better, 1 year faster. My dad was my best friend. I miss him like crazy. But we had a very healthy competitive relationship where we wanted to beat each other in everything, from backgammon to croquet to basketball to golf. It was awesome. So he just wanted, like we all do for our children, for me to be a better version of him.
Right, right. Well, listen, at the age of 24, you became the youngest GM in the country. Just piggybacking off of your dad wanting for you to be better than him. That's a big title for someone of that age. What was the hardest part of stepping into that role? And how did your dad prepare you? I know he wanted you to do better than him, but how did he prepare you for it?
Sure. So just real quick, started washing cars at 14, worked in parts at 16, was a technician at 17, service writer at 18, sold cars until I was 19, became a used car manager at 20. Um, I don't think I was prepared, but we didn't have another option. At 22 years old, dad got diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is bone marrow cancer, and they gave him 3 to 5 years to live. So at that point, my maturation was accelerated, and I became a general sales manager at GSM at 23. And I'm sure he's watching, so I mean this with the utmost respect, but I started to just do my boss's job to the point where he said, either I'm going to get fired or I need to go to my father, his boss, and say, hey, we need to buy another dealership because your son's ready. And I wasn't ready, but I knew one thing, which is if all I do is help my people become better versions of themselves, then we'll be fine.
So there had to be people who doubted you. I get it that the other GM was like, hey, we need another dealership. But how did you handle those people doubting you? And did it push you harder, or did you tune it out? Tell us a little bit about that.
So at 23, I was pretty confident in myself and my skill set. So I would say from a military point of view, it was command and control. So I came in, I said, I'm not sure what you guys think you're doing, but I watched my dad create this blueprint. I know it better than you. I'm not going anywhere. So it's in your best interest to do what I say, how I say it, by when I say it. And in return, I will make you more money than you know what to do with. And a couple of people doubted me. So a good terror shoots a hostage. I fired a couple of people quick, early and clean. And then everybody fell in line pretty quick because nobody cares how old you are when their paychecks double. And that's what happened to a lot of our managers, to the point where those are uncomfortable conversations when you go, you're making too much money. But we even got to that point later on in my career.
Very cool. Very cool. So let's talk a little bit about what you've built and are building today. And Mike, for people who haven't heard of Murphy's Auto Group, give us the picture. You have multiple locations operating in multiple states. What does the business look like today, and what's the mission behind it?
Great question. So to start, Murphy Auto Group consists of 7 automotive dealerships, 22 entities in total, including our nonprofits. We're in business in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina, a little over 500 employees. But our mission statement to our customers is simple: meeting expectations is our business, exceeding them is our goal. Now, internally, our ethos is, and that shout out to Dennis, that was his, and I just kept it going. But the ethos is really it. For my leadership team, we exist to help our people sell and service cars in sufficient volume and gross so that our people can meet not only their professional but their personal goals while staying legal and compliant and earning repeat and referral business. So I know that rolls off the tongue. I just said it enough. But it really encompasses do the right thing, take care of your customers, don't sell them a car, help them purchase their next vehicle. And there's a distinct difference in those two philosophies.
I like that, and I may have to take part of that ethos there and modify ours. I really like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I stole most of it from somebody else anyway.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that because we're going to talk about your C3 commitment: customers, community, charities, in a business that can be transactional, right? How do you keep that promise alive across the 7 states?
You know, when you're around sharp people, biblically they say iron sharpens iron as one person sharpens another. So in leadership institutes is definitely a great way to continue to grow your leadership skills. But really, it's simple. There's this great actor named Denzel Washington. He has a quote that says, "You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse." So we can't take it with us. The Egyptians tried. And as a man of faith and running a faith based organization, we take the biblical concept in Malachi of tithing and we apply that to our ad budget. So every time a vehicle is sold, a portion of the proceeds go into the Dennis Murphy and Son Foundation. And then the foundation does our work to either grow the community, grow sports, grow opportunity, or grow the faith. And it's really beautiful because everybody's like, oh, that's so nice of you. But let me be perfectly clear to our listeners: philanthropy and having a charitable cause is a selfish act. When you help somebody for a day, you feed them for a day, you fix their roof, it helps them temporarily. But the change that happens internally inside you and your people and your culture is really what starts to manifest and just grow exponentially.
Well said and well observed, and you're so right. I mean, it's something that we bring temporary reprieve to others, but truly is that that team building and really allowing your team to recognize and be proud of something that they were part of and how that's impacting others.
Thank you. And I think, the fact is everybody buys these cars for the same. We sell them for about the same price. So assuming apples are apples and oranges are to oranges, we wanted our faith-based initiatives to be the tiebreaker. The fact that we do something good with it, and I don't have any really bad habits. I don't have a yacht. The jet's leased. So I can't spend it. So why not put it back to work in our communities where it's obviously in need? Times are hard, $4.50 gas. If you've been in the grocery store lately, we see the pain. There's pain in the grocery store, pain in the pump. And through a transaction of buying a car, if we can alleviate some of that pain, we need to.
Nice, nice. And so speaking about community, you are a minority owner in the Tampa Bay Rays. How did that happen? And what was, has being part of a professional sports organization taught you about leadership at scale?
So it started over 18 months ago. I heard that there may be an opportunity to acquire the team. And I spent a long time trying to do it by myself. I had great partners with Houlihan Lokey, some international investors that really believed in what we were doing. But when the time came to meet Patrick Zalewski, Ken Babby, who's our CEO, Bill Cosgrove, Will Weatherford, I realized really quick that these are the guys that need to be running this team. And if it's a world where I can join this team, invest in this team, and learn from this team, that if I stay humble and hungry, I'll eventually get my opportunity for enhanced leadership opportunities. But right now, if Ken wants me to make pancakes, I'm gonna make him the best damn pancakes he's ever had.
So somehow, based on what you told us earlier about your daughter making the best pancakes in the world, and you being that entrepreneur-minded person, I could probably see a business model coming out of that where your daughter's going to be the one making the pancakes, and you're bringing it over to the team.
Yeah, be a female minority-owned business. So I think like we already got a step in the right direction. These two girls are going to be amazingly successful in whatever it is they do, and I would not be surprised if entrepreneurial pancake making isn't one of their futures.
Man, that is fantastic. Again, going back to your commitment and things like that, you tell us about Grable Rescue. You spend a lot of your free time fundraising for them. What's the organization? What drives your involvement? Why does it matter so much to you personally?
Sure, that's a great question. If I can go back to baseball just real quick, I just want to hammer home the fact that I believe Tampa Bay is going to be very, very happy with this group. And the stadium's had a very good week. I know Orlando may not want to hear that, but it's very, very important for Central Florida from Tampa, the whole I-4 corridor for us not to lose this team. And come out to the Trop, watch a great product. We're the best team in baseball, and I'm humbled and excited. To answer your question about Grable Rescue, the name like Mike Murphy, you get to be kind of an extreme patriot by just Googling yourself. I am, and nor will I ever be the best version of my name. Michael P. Murphy is a Medal of Honor winner, passed away in Afghanistan. The USS Michael Murphy is defending our freedom outside of the Straits of Hormuz right now. So I was always involved in naval special warfare community, donating where I could. Through those connections, I met Brian Stern, who's the leader of Grable Rescue. So for a couple of years, I donated to Grable. 2 months out of the year is Military Appreciation Month. And Grable Rescue's mission is simple. If you're an American and you're in trouble anywhere in the world, we'll go get you. Full stop. We'll break you out of jail in Russia. We'll go get your kids in Lebanon. If we've been to Gaza, we've been inside Israel. It's very, very powerful and monumental when you think of the thousands of lives we've saved, 800 donor-funded missions. And all this was going fun, right? All I do is send a check, do a presser, hold up a check for like the media. And then Hurricane Helene happened. And I'm in LA in meetings. And my Tesla exploded in my driveway and burned my house to the ground.
Oh, wow.
We lost everything we owned, everything my wife saved, everything she brought from Colombia, all my dad's relics, his golden glove, my grandpa's pistols.
Oh, wow.
And the worst part is because of the flooding, and shout out to Tampa Fire Department because eventually they had to put the fire out 3 more times. Said it'd be 10 to 12 hours before they go get my family. And I called Brian. I go, "You home?" He goes, "Yeah, why?" I go, explain the situation. He goes, "Go downstairs, have a cocktail. I'll call you when I got your family." 47 minutes later, he and the rest of our operations team walked through the storm surge with inflatable rafts and rescued not only my family, but our neighbors. Became an episode of Eye of the Storm on the Discovery Channel. There's been some stuff on Orange County Choppers and other things talking about it. But I made a promise to Brian at that point. I'm a donor. I'm a rescuee. I'm no longer a spectator. Put me in the game. That's when I went operational. And then 3 weeks later, Hurricane Milton, we ran 52 sorties and rescued about 65 people and got places where Hillsborough Fire Rescue and Florida Emergency Management could not go. And then you combine that with just a few months later, the war in Israel with Iran, the relationships we had and got really good with Florida Department of Emergency Management. Governor DeSantis and Lieutenant Governor Collins gave us a credit card, and we went and rescued over 1,800 people. And the day we finished was the day the State Department started rescuing Americans out of Israel, which was the day before the peace treaty was signed. So if you want something done right and fast, Brian Stern, Grable Rescue, there's not a better place to donate your money. Again, we talked about feeding people, clothing people. It's a lot different when your money goes to rescue somebody who's actively being hunted by the enemy.
So tell us how you balance your commitment to them and running a company that had hundreds of employees.
Well, it's actually pretty cool. So if we go back to like the tip of the spear, the best leadership group maybe in the existence of humanity is the naval special warfare community. If you think about what the Navy SEALs, combat SARs, and everybody that's attached to those groups can pull off, it is nothing short of amazing. So they do all the studies in leadership in the world, and they found out the most optimized amount of people to manage is 6. Interesting that a boat crew is 6 people with a leader. So I run my life with a boat crew. I've got a vice president of business development. I got a vice president of corporate operations. I've got a CFO. Each market has a market area president. And it's just simple, man. I try to work 2 days. I try to be 6 hours, no lunch break, no nothing, 15-minute intervals at work for Murphy Auto Group. Then the other 6 hours is spread between being a father, being a husband, and being a patriot. And then finding time to get in the dojo.
Very cool. I love that you are organized and have a plan like that. But let's get a little bit more into your leadership for a minute here.
So, Mike, how do you build attitude, effort, and energy into a team's culture, I would say, and how do you protect that culture as you grow your organization?
Sure. I'm going to sound like just a simple jock here, but competition. Let's look at this a different way. And you got to understand your audience. So for me, call it 500 employees, 75% of them identify as a millennial or Gen Z. And if we look at that demographic of individuals, 85% of them within the last 24 hours played a video game with no monetary reward associated with it. So I believe in creating games worth playing. Great book by Chris Collins, who has a great beard. The book's called Gamification. So I build that attitude, culture, effort, accountability, mental toughness, the things that Nick Saban talks about, by creating games worth playing. If you think about a bonus, it's counterintuitive to today's generation. When you have a salesman of the month bonus and you've got 10 salespeople, you have properly motivated 10% of your group and demotivated the other 90%. Historically, the salesman of the month, month in, month out, is the same person. That's an example of a bonus that's respectfully archaic thinking. Instead, creating a game worth playing is taking the same amount of money, dividing your teams into 2 equal teams, and then letting them compete for the results. So we find it a lot of fun. I think the biggest thing from a leadership point of view is we buy into servant leadership. So what does that mean to Mike Murphy? It means that my goal as a servant leader is to hold you accountable to do what you said you would do, how you said you would do it, by when you said you would do it. Simplistically, it's a forecast. If you hit your forecast, gold star. If you don't, frowny face. Well, that type of stick management gets employees to work hard enough to not get fired. Taking the same approach and then rewarding forecasting and gamification creates a culture of abundance where people can't help but be successful. So, Sean, how many cars do you want to sell next month? How can I help you get there? And if you do that 9 out of 12 months, we're going to go on a cruise together. We're going to go to the Bahamas. We're going to go on Royal Caribbean. We're going to, go to karaoke, play trivia, probably have one too many cocktails, and create a culture of winners. Because we want to be disproportionate with our time, right? There's this great story when somebody asked Jimmy Johnson, like, what is your best piece of advice? He goes, be consistently unfair. Consistently unfair. Yep. Give your disproportionate amount of your time to your dogs, to that top 25%. So that creates a culture where the middle 50% is trying to grow their career and become part of the top 25%. And also the bottom 25% self-select out of your organization. So you have that ability where you're growing the top, the team, players only start to regulate the bottom. And it is so much fun. And you can be a nice guy. You don't have to yell. You don't have to scream. The accountability goes through the roof by just saying, hey, I'm here to help you. Did you do what you said you would do by when you'd say you would do it?
Got it. Well, coaching is talked a lot about, but few executives actually invest in it. Again, I know you do because you're a client. What has having coaches like Chris Rusi and Jim Brogan actually done for you as a leader?
Well, first off, when Chris Rusi passed away, I went to his funeral just to make sure he wasn't an angel. He came in at the right time with the right message, really helped me learn the art of leading through clarity. Chris Rusi was a big fan of his 5 Ps and his 4 Cs. He said, Mike, if you have the right people executing the right processes, you'll get the productivity you need to keep the promise you made about the profits you'd make. Whew. So I go, okay, well, how do I know if I'm doing it right? He goes, well, clarity equals confidence. Confidence equals consistency. And consistency is what we need to win game in, game out. So he taught me the art of clarity, like paint a picture in high definition, right? You want people to be able to smell, taste, and feel your vision, not only hear it and understand it. And then, unfortunately, the Lord called him up what I thought was too early, but on his time, which is always perfect. And then I lost my dad. Then I lost my godfather. Then I lost everybody that mattered to me. And I thought, well, heck, I should start an Instagram and give their teachings away. And after doing that, growing it to a couple 100,000 followers, somebody recommended that I talk to Jim Brogan. Jim Brogan has been a performance coach for a very long time with people significantly more successful than me. There's names I won't mention, but like the ones on his website, he worked with the Drew Breeses of the world, Jameis Winston's, the Todd Munkins, the Dan Quinns. Those are just the public ones. Private ones would be even more impressive a list. He's just too humble to brag. So what he helped me really do is learn how to ask the right questions to paint that clarity, because especially still, I'm only 40. Majority of my leaders are older than me. If I start, instead of mansplaining, like kid explaining this stuff to them, they tune out pretty quick. But if I can ask them the right questions and they give me the right answers, they'll not only answer their own questions, they'll motivate themselves, but they'll give themselves the clarity that they need when times are hard to pound the rock and to win, because not every day is a good day in the car business.
Wow. Well thought through there. And those kinds of mentors and perspectives really shape how you think day to day. And speaking of discipline and how you operate, you plan your day in 15-minute intervals, putting everything on one list. What does that discipline look like in practice, and where did it come from?
Let's unpack that from like maybe the end and work backwards. Where did it come from? Was I kept being really bad at professional, personal balance, the work-life balance, people call it. And Chris Arisi said, well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Because there's no such thing as work-life balance. That's dumb. It's impossible. But work-life integration is quite possible. And he goes, I want you to think of the best cruise you ever took. How much fun is it when you get that piece of paper on your bed, tell you all of the options you have for tomorrow, and you plan out your day? When you plan out your day, you seem to execute 80% of your day. It's hard to have a bad day. So for me, knowing that the best laid plans don't survive first contact with the enemy, I do believe manifestation is real. So every night before I go to bed, I plan out tomorrow in those intervals. I publish it to my 6 people on my boat with me, my boat crew. Then they trickle that down to the necessary people, and then it becomes poetry in motion. I wrote an article for Forbes that really talks about time management. And I think the more time as leaders we shift to productive, proactive tasks, the more likely we are to be successful. So if I work 12 hours, my goal is for 9.5 hours to be on proactive things I initiated that are productive, that help me move my goals forward, knowing that the enemy still gets a vote right. There's going to be productive reactive time. But if we limit that non-productive reactive time, the non-productive proactive time, like I fast, I find eating is a waste of our time. You think about what you're going to eat, you spend an hour eating it, you think what you just ate and yum yum how good it was, you lose 2 hours of productivity. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing, and moderation's for cowards. Booyah.
Love it, love it, love it. So it's clear that you've built strong systems, but every leader hits tough seasons along the way. Sean?
Yeah, Mike, after your dad passed, you got offered to sell the business. What was going through your mind, and what made you say no?
I said, yes, I'll take the meeting. And somebody broke into my car, stole my backpack. So I grabbed my dad's briefcase, which, this is maybe 6 months after he passed away, maybe 9 months after he passed away. And I hop in Delta, I'm in seat 1B, and I started just opening up and looking at some of the stuff in there. I threw my a backup laptop and a legal pad in there. And my dad had little notes to himself. And one was this book that said 10 things I want my son to know. In chapter 2, we had his business card where he bookmarked, I guess, as far as he made it in the book. And it said, make sure he knows to do his best. And if he did his best is good enough. And at that moment in my career, that wasn't my best product. We weren't set up for an exit. We didn't structure the exit to maximize profitability or EBITDA multipliers. But most importantly, that's not my best. We were probably just as good as we are now. I'm not sure we've gained much momentum. Praise God that I've got guys like Imran Qureshi leading Florida and John Gleam running the CSRA. We're starting to really head in the right direction. But nobody should exit anything they do until they feel like they've done their best and they're proud of that product. And I wasn't proud enough of my product, and I'm not sure I ever will be.
Wow. And the hits didn't stop there, did they? You had to lead through COVID, and then you had to deal with the CDK cyber attack back to back. And for those who are not familiar, being in cybersecurity myself, CDK cyber attack was a major ransomware incident that happened that really impacted the primary CDK being one of the primary providers for car dealership software across North America. Tell us more about that and how you navigated those storms.
2 parts. One, the CDK hack was atrocious. Probably $1 billion of lost income. Most, if not all, car dealerships could not do anything. They couldn't write a ticket. They couldn't sell a car. They couldn't do anything.
Yeah, 15,000 car dealerships were impacted by that.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine if each of them lost $1 million. Like, I think I lost a couple $1 million on that. But here's the beauty of being a Floridian. Everything in Florida seems to try to kill us. So we're really resilient people.
We know how to bounce back.
Because of hurricanes and being so used to not having power, we had a whole backup system for hurricanes where our desking software was built in Excel. I'm pretty decent with spreadsheets. Our inventory management was backed up on Excel. So we were able to continue to do business. And then, with Dennis's expertise starting this business in 1978, me getting involved in the 90s, we grabbed pen and paper and we just went old school. So I'm telling 30-year-old service managers, like, this is easy, dude. Like, we got this. You got your cell phone? Your cell phone works? Okay, cool. Grab a pad of paper. Let me show you how we used to do it. And those traits that used to make us great will make us great again. Notice I didn't say great again, but I really believe the fundamentals and the basics of what we do is the difference between being good and great. So we were able to fall back on that. But you want to talk about, God breaks you before he uses you. You had, I got hit by hail, cost me $1 million hail damage in July. The CDK hack was August. It didn't get resolved till October. October, I lost every earthly possession, my house and my cars and everything. And then baseball became an opportunity in November. So if you're going through hell, don't stop. Keep going, said Winston Churchill, right?
Yeah. Well, the good book says that too. In Psalms 23, it's either 23 or 33.
I knew he was some plagiarism. I can't trust an English leader, says the Irishman.
You walk through the valley. You can't stop. Got to go through it. I'm not surprised with this. You kind of have an old spirit about you. And I was talking to somebody yesterday about the America that I graduated from college in. I feel like today America is just greedy, greedy, greedy. It's all about money. Your BHAG, you call it a bag, but I'm gonna call it a BHAG. Your big, hairy, audacious goal is not a revenue number. And I'm not surprised. It's about creating an environment where people can grow. How does that kind of goal keep you going when things get tough?
Or when they get good, right? Again, like, the hardest thing to do is to go back to back. So, like, people work their whole lives to win the Super Bowl, but then they get complacent, and then 2 years later they're out of the league. So for me, it was really simple. I judge my success on how many millionaires I've made. At this point, right? Like, if I'm not doing it for my people and my kids, why do it? I mean, the customers deserve, a great buying experience. Hopefully there are other people that could give that to them. But why? I think it's because It goes back to this guy that couldn't read or write, who's a deputy sheriff in Palm Beach County, that never gave up, had 3 sons, one of which became my dad. And you don't come this far to come this far, right? We owe it not only to ourselves, but our ancestors to keep going.
Keep going. Yes.
Wow, that's a powerful anchor. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I just said we walk through the valley. We
Yeah.
don't stop in the valley.
Yeah, very, very powerful anchor in the middle of adversity. And so when you step back now, Mike, and look back, what do you know now about resilience that you wish you had understood earlier?
I wish I would have read Marcus Aurelius's Meditations in high school. The obstacle that impedes movement becomes the path towards movement, right? The obstacle is the way. The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday is a great book. It's supposed to be hard. Embrace the suck, as the Naval Special Warfare community would say. The only easy day is yesterday. All those little cliches that pass down generation to generation, pass down because they're true. So I think when we think of arguably the best Caesar, one of the best leaders of the Roman Empire of all time, experienced 13 years of peace. He had everything go wrong in famines, assassination attempts, mutinies. But if you think of Marcus Aurelius and then even Seneca to another point, the struggle is where growth occurs. And it's just like working out. Unless you tear the muscle, you don't build back stronger, build back better. And it's supposed to be hard. Embrace the suck. That's why 97% of people work for the 3% of entrepreneurs that never gave up.
That never gave up.
Never gave up. And you know, that perspective becomes, I would say, especially important now because so much is changing, right? Technology, for example, is changing automotive faster than most people realize. From where you sit, 7 locations, what changes are you already seeing with, you know, the advent of AI on sales and the service side? And where do you think it's headed in the next few years?
Well, full disclosure, I've been an early investor in AI for about 6 years, and I think that's going to be more profitable than the car business was. I see AI immediately impacting customer wait time, customer experience. So with Murphy Auto Group, we teamed up with a company called Impel, and our online chats, our phone calls, the mapping, everything now is handled with advanced AI that actually gives a customer a better experience, and they're able to book a service appointment faster than they were through our human counterparts. Second part I see AI is my CFO and I, Andres Pinados, agreed that we're no longer growing the amount of accounting personnel we have. We're going to educate, grow not only their knowledge, but their income levels of the people we already have. And all the redundant basic things, we're going to train them up where they won't have to do anymore, will be replaced with AI. Great company called Acumatic that focuses on accounting solutions for AI. And then on that topic, I just bought my first robot. Rich Tech Robots, richtechrobots.com, promo code Mike Murphy. Just kidding. But if you guys want that, reach out. But it's simple, right? Like we have a parts runner that's a robot that has facial recognition and has the shop mapped out. So a parts employee puts the parts on the robot drops it off at the technician. That increases productivity, which means our employees, for the same amount of time they're working, have increased productivity hours to make more money. The car business, you don't make more money the more hours you work. You make more money the more productive you are. So I think that AI and robotics is going to be an amazing benefit to humanity, but it's also going to change the game. I mean, a decade from now, we're going to be talking about red and blue. We're going to be super purple. You know, robots are going to be taking people's jobs. AI is going to be taking people's jobs. And we've got to focus on conscious capitalism to make sure that we're not leaving anybody behind.
Very cool. Very cool. And how do you prevent losing the personal feel out of buying a car with all of the AI stuff that's coming down the pike?
All the AI stuff should do is the stuff that we disappear for an hour to go talk to the manager to do. So it'll be more interaction with the customer, lower the customer's transaction time. So in our business, we say if you leave your customer alone, the only thing they're doing is talking themselves out of buying the car. Yet you got to do the paperwork, you got to transfer the insurance, you got to run a payoff. Like you don't really want to sit in front of the customer and do all that. That's where AI is going to increase the amount of personal interaction we have with our customer while decreasing their total transaction time. So until they become our overlords for at least the next couple of generations, it's going to be a tool that enhances the experience and our ability to make money. And then they'll take over.
Nice, great outlook there. And as we were preparing for this segment here, I was reading through, and this next topic here actually, really piqued my interest because you have believed that in-house robotics is the next big thing, and something that a lot of people are not thinking about yet. So, how does the existing dealer network fit into that picture? And why do you think companies like Toyota already paying attention to this?
It's part of the reason I want to be a Honda dealer too. Shout out Honda USA. Phones available. Call me. But Toyota and Honda and the Japanese in general, the robotics have been there for a while. Akio Toyoda, the chairman of Toyota, has three what they call personal in-house assistants that are robotics that fold clothes, do the dishes, stir the noodles. Some of the other things they showed via video, which was really cool. But again, I love me some AI. So I grabbed my dealer agreement from 2020, and then they said, "Hey guys, you need to sign your new dealer agreement." And I signed it. I uploaded it both to AI. I said, "Show me the differences." And the difference for Toyota is we went from selling Toyota vehicles to Toyota products. Maybe you go, So last national dealer meeting, we actually, the dealers, we didn't have an NDA, so I can talk about it, but we weren't allowed to take any pictures or any promo stuff, saw the robots. So we get super duper real when they walk by you. And you go like, I could sell that. And they're going to be about the same cost as our average used car. So, entry price of that 9 to 15,000 range based on skill set and like appendages. Like, do you want it to like have a blender that does it its arm? Think like the best of Inspector Gadget. It's going to be a lot of fun. And the nice thing is, franchise laws are really strong in the United States. So direct to consumer is going to be difficult for Toyota. So, and then we'd sue them anyway. So why not just work with your partners? And let me be perfectly clear. Akio Toyota and Toyota Motor Company have such a belief in Kaizen, the Japanese idea of consistently getting better and honor, that they would partner with us because it's the right thing to do. It wasn't the most effective thing, but it happens to also be the most effective thing because somebody's still going to have to explain robots to the average consumer, and then there's still going to be maintenance opportunities. So how do you provide proper maintenance to your robots when it blows a widget or a gasket or whatever George Jetson sold? I forget. They think widgets, right?
I'm feeling like Elroy, his son now. I don't know.
Think about it. It's pretty sick. We'd be selling Rosie the robots. Like, science fiction is the mother of all invention.
No, it's amazing you said that because as you were talking about that and Toyota and the three robots at home, etc., the Jetsons is exactly what came to mind. and I said to myself here, we could probably throw that out there, but half our listeners wouldn't even know what we're talking about. So,
What? Who?
You need to reboot it.
Right. All right, so let's shift gears. Sean, take it away.
Yeah, so some quick hits, Mike. First thing that comes to mind with these, one book every leader in your industry should read right now.
Right now, with the ever-changing industry, I'd be reading Bullets, Boardrooms, and Basketballs by Jim Brogan, by Andrew Penn and Dave Humlinger. It's awesome because all three artists, one comes from Nestle as a C-suite chief operations officer. You had Brogan that played in the NBA and has had a abundantly successful career. But then Andrew Pence was the equivalent of like a chief strategy officer of the Naval Special Warfare community. That book's great because it covers a lot of the things we cover in this podcast. But the chapter to focus on that leaders need to listen is about emotional intelligence. Nobody cares what you know until they know how much you care. Don't underestimate that.
Yes. Best advice your dad ever gave you?
Don't read your press clippings.
One thing that doesn't take talent but makes all the difference in the world on a team.
Communication.
Tampa Devil Rays or hole in the one at a pro-am? Which feels better?
The Tampa Bay Rays, because I'm doing it for more than myself.
If a young guy walked into your office today and said he wanted to own a dealership someday, what's the first thing you'll tell him?
How are you going to do it? I need a perfectly clear map, step by step by step, like crossing a cold creek. Where are the dry rocks?
Got it. All right, let's slow it down a moment here.
We've talked a lot about how intentional you are with your time and structure. For leaders listening who feel stretched thin, what would you say to them?
Are you stretched thin or are we not productive? Everybody says that time flies, and I think time's just wasted. So, like, every day feels like a marathon. Every week feels like a marathon. I look at my 6-year-old and I don't go, how do we get here? I think of every day that we got here. So,
Woo! I love that. Yes. Yeah, I spent a ton of time with my kid, 19 and 17 still today. And so it's always that's the way I look at it as well. Your dream board of advisors includes your dad, Dennis, Marcus Aurelius, Jesus, Chris Rushi, and Elon Musk. Very impressive. I think I would have taken, a couple of those myself. What does each of them bring to the table that you'd like to draw from?
okay, so let's start with Jesus. I believe he's the Son of God and my Savior. With that said, let's argue the opposite. He was just a dude like the rest of us that 2,000 years ago walked around a desert with 500 people, 13 disciples, and a core group of 4 people. So when you think of Jesus's communication skills, the ability to use parables to communicate effectively, so much of leadership is about effective communication. And if you just took Jesus of Nazareth as a human and said, I want to be like him as a leader, I think that would be fantastic from how to communicate to the average individual with parables. You go to Marcus Aurelius, it's truly about the Stoic mindset of a problem is a blessing because it gives you an opportunity to create a solution. I think my dad just had the ability to talk me out of my funk. And that's always needed, right? Like, heavy's a head that wears the crown. It beats the hell out of not having a crown. But the hardest part is not being able to talk to anybody about your problems because they come out braggadocious. Elon Musk, because A, I'm convinced he's from the future and he needs to take me with him. Uh, other than burning my house to the ground, I'm a massive Elon fan because I think he and I see life the same way. There's this beautiful belief in metaphysics that the law of scarcity doesn't exist, and there's a law of surplus. And I think when we run a company, we can do the right thing, right? Tesla's patents were made public day one. The sale is public. Anybody that wants to run their dealership Dennis Murphy's way that I do it can call me. I'll give them their secrets because the hard part is the execution. I feel like I'm missing one person. Chris Arisi. Chris was on there again because of the ability to paint with clarity. No matter what I did, he'd send it back to me, say, take 20% of the words out and make it twice as effective. Like, I didn't know you could do that.
That's a fascinating mix of influences, and it says a lot about how you think about leadership at a different level. And you mentioned the gospel as one of the books that most shaped your leadership. A lot of leaders don't openly talk about faith, and especially in a business context. So, what made you willing to bring that into the conversation?
Guilt. I don't deserve what I have. I am full of sin. I have fallen short of the glory of God. When I look at my life and what I've accomplished, I know it's through Him and Him only. So if somebody's got a problem with it, I'd love to debate it. We spend a lot of time in synagogues. We spend a lot of time in mosques. My business partners are Pakistani. We believe it's those of faith against the darkness. And that's just helping people realize that it's not who you love, how you pray, or even the name you use to pray to him. But there is a God that loves you, that created you for a specific and beautiful purpose. And if that's not the core behind why take everything you have, push it into the middle of the table as an entrepreneur, then you probably shouldn't be an entrepreneur.
Well said. Well said. Well said. And as we start to bring this to a close, I want to make sure we leave leaders listening with something they can take with them. Sean?
If you had to hand someone 3 rules for building a business that lasts, what would they be? And which one do most people get wrong first?
3 rules. There's no shortcuts to success. So resist the temptation to lie, cheat, and steal, especially when no one's looking. That's probably not the first one. The second, and this is probably the most important one, is do not assume that people think like you, digest information your way, because a leader will become frustrated quickly when they say, but you don't understand. They're not supposed to understand. Dennis Murphy used to say, you got to tell people what you're going to tell them what you're telling them, and then tell them what you just told them, and then do that a couple times and it'll stick. And I think lastly, is stubbornness is an asset to entrepreneurship. Ken Babby is a great example. As the leader of the Tampa Bay Rays and our CEO, he has a vision, and his vision is so crystal clear in his mind that it might as well have already came true. And as an LP, you should be like a child, right? Seen and not heard. But it's very easy to just follow and pull the rope in the same direction because he knows where he's taking this organization. And, get on the bus, get off the bus, or get ran over by the bus. And that stubbornness is really what will keep you from, I don't know, going with an entire EV fleet and killing your brand like Jaguar, or some of the other just change with the political winds just to be liked. That maybe a free one is you're never going to win a popularity contest as a successful leader. Just don't try.
And give us one book that you would hand out to these folks day one.
Ooh, okay. So it's got to be The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, or Courage is Courageous by Ryan Holiday. Because, dude, like, life is so easy right now, and like adversity just makes people black out. Like, people keep thinking it's supposed to be easy. They've got to embrace the suck. The growth is in the struggle.
Embrace the suck, man.
That's really
So
solid
good.
advice. And it really ties together everything we've talked about. For someone starting out in automotive today, Mike, what separates those who build something lasting from those who don't?
So two ways to look at this. As a non-manager, like I'm truly just getting in the business selling cars, resist the temptation to hop from job to job. There will be better pay plans out there. There'll be worse pay plans out there. But people trade their cars in every 3 or 4 years. So if you could spend 3 or 4 years at a single location, the people you sold a car to will come back to you to buy a second car. That's what we talk about, repeat and referral business. If you chase the pay plan, it's like chasing a skunk. The skunk gets away and you end up stinky. So stay at one place, but then you have to invest in yourself. Like, nobody's here to hold your hand at most organizations. I think ours do with our chaplain service and the way we focus on servant leadership. But you need to invest in yourself. Grant Cardone started off trading car salesman, and look where he is now. Joe Verdi, right? The Zig Ziglars, the Dale Carnegies, how to win friends and influence people. You have to invest in yourself, or why would anyone else invest in you?
Right. Let's look forward a bit here, Roy.
Yeah. So Mike, 10 years from now, what does Murphy Auto Group look like? And more personally, what does success feel like for Mike Murphy at that point in his life?
10 years from now? Well, the kids are too young to be working that hard. I would say, maybe 20 years, the goal is multiple generations, not only of me, but my employees' kids getting into business. But 10 years from now, I don't want to put a number on how many dealerships we want to grow to, but we want to be disproportionately weighted back in the state of Florida. I'm serious. I'm a big fan of Honda. I like where Honda's headed, even though they had a tough year. Toyota will always be my baby. Would love a third Toyota store in the next 10 years. I'd love a Lexus store in the next 10 years. I'm extremely bullish on Genesis. So I want to, be able to donate my time to the Genesis brand because it reminds me of Mercedes-Benz 30 years ago, where it's an amazing product. The value is incredible. So I see that. And then for me personally, I want to be in charge of nothing. 10 years from now, I want to be able to go wherever I'm needed to do anything I need to do because there's no job function or responsibility in Mike Murphy's job description is that of a COO. And right now I'm CEO and COO. And to be the type of dad I want to be, that's unsustainable for the long term.
And as you think about that future, I mean, you're building something that started with your dad. How do you think, about passing that on, whether to your kids, your team, or to the next generation of leaders coming through?
Yeah, you need wise counsel, like Trust Wealth or I've got my cat. I call him Mike's buddy team. But like, it starts with proper estate planning. So for my girls, they own half of Genesis already. They're my landlord at the majority of my real estate. They are both massive holders of SpaceX. So that has passed the financial benefits down a generation. When we talk operational development to the next generation, it's not much different than my employees. It's making it fun. My 6-year-old Reagan, on Wednesdays, I pick her up from school at 3, and we have a marketing meeting at 3:30. And Jim Brogan really focuses on youth with his nonprofit work. So Reagan has a presentation. She shows her work for the week to the marketing team. She reads something out of her book. She gets used to public speaking and reading.
Oh, yes.
Sits down, and we run an entire meeting for an hour. And then she goes to Kids Strong, which is like PE, but it's pretty cool. So it's just making it fun, exposing them to it the same way my dad exposed me to it. It's not something you have to do. It's something we get to do. It's an honor. And never forget that.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
Really cool girl.
And that's going to pay great dividends, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And who knows where the 3-year-old's going to be, but that confidence of the 3-year-old, she might be the athlete. It's really, really fun. But we're going to, keep loving on them to a point where they know they're special, and they know the only thing that matters is how they're going to change the world. I think automotive gives them the tools necessary to do that.
Right. So look, if you could go back and challenge yourself to think bigger earlier, which I'm not certain that you could do much bigger, what do you think that would have unlocked for you?
I tell you, to be vulnerable for a second, I should have given up operational control years ago. Um, I hindered our growth from still trying to prove to myself and probably to my father that I deserved this opportunity. Like, I work really good with a chip on my shoulder. So once I experienced significant success, our growth was hindered and bottlenecked at me. And I had to get out of my own way to see the potential of this company.
Oh, well, that's and it's interesting how perspectives evolve like that over years, and going back and I would say the glass looking backwards is always much deeper than the glass looking forward. It helps gives us perspective and helps us to fine tune our path. But Sean, take us home, man.
Yeah, man. Mike, thank you so much for your time today. Really was a great conversation. What stands out to me is not just what you've built, but why you built what you've built. Just leveraging what your dad has done, and you talking about your daughters and how you're picking them up, and your dad did that for you. And I mentioned to you all about my sons, right? I gave up a lot, man, to be at the practice, recitals, all kinds of stuff. And today at 19 and 17, we're just like, the conversations are insane, right? And so through your dad's passing, COVID, the CDK hack, which was all kind of like in the same time frame, you've had hard moments in between. You kept showing up, right? You kept moving forward. You did not stop. You had the mission front and center. The stuff that you went through was not easy, and not everyone does what you did. A lot of people listening today needed to hear that it is possible to lead with purpose and still grow a business. And that, again, the thing that you touched on earlier about your BHAG is not a revenue number. It's about the lives that you've changed, which, again, to me, that's old school America. Thank you for being an example, man. I appreciate it. And I've really enjoyed this time and for sharing your story with us.
Well, I'm humbled. This is great. You could always tell like-minded individuals, because nothing in this podcast is forced, right? It's just like-minded people sharing great tips. I like to call them like cheat codes for the next generation. So to every listener out here, not that you asked me to, but I would like, follow, subscribe, do whatever you take. You've made a fan out of me, and I'm awfully excited to see the other guests come in after me.
That's awesome, Mike. That's awesome. And I love that cheat code for the next generation. And thank you. And I would say what stays with me from today is a simple idea that you shared. And you said you had every reason to sell, and you said no, not because of strategy, but because of who you are and what this business means to you. And that kind of clarity, the kind that shows up when the pressure is highest, is what separates leaders who build something lasting from those who simply build something big. We're truly grateful you brought that to this conversation, and we're honored to have had you as a guest here on the Dynamic Business Leaders podcast. Thank you, and keep crushing it, man. We're big fans.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys. Go Rays, go Storm.
And to our audience, we want to thank you all for tuning in to this episode of the Dynamic Business Leaders Podcast. And until next time, stay curious, stay driven, and keep leading with purpose.
Hi, I'm Roy Richardson, host of the Dynamic Business Leaders Podcast. Are you a business owner or a leader of a successful business? If yes, we'd love to have you as a guest on our program. Our goal is simple. We provide a platform for leaders to share their experiences to benefit others. We want to hear your story, how you got started, the challenges you faced along the way, and your passion today. If this sounds like you know someone who fits these criteria, then be sure to get in touch with us by visiting our website linked in the episode description below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification bell to be notified when our next episode goes live. Or, if you'd rather listen to us during your car rides, you can also follow us on your favorite audio channel using your podcatcher. Thanks again, and remember, keep crushing it.